It was the evening of September 12, 1952, in the quiet rural town of Flatwoods, West Virginia, a place where the Appalachian Mountains rose like ancient sentinels, cloaked in dense forest and shrouded in mist. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. And the first hints of autumn were beginning to paint the leaves in shades of gold and crimson. Flatwoods was a small, tight-knit community, a place where everyone knew everyone, where life moved at the pace of the seasons, and where the night sky was so dark and vast that it felt like you could fall into it. On this particular evening, something strange and terrifying would descend upon Flatwoods, something that would leave the townsfolk shaken to their core and spark a mystery that endures to this day. This is Porch Lore. And I'm your host, Devin. This is the tale of the Flatwoods Monster. To understand the Flatwoods Monster, you must first understand the people who encountered it. Flatwoods was a town of farmers, miners, and factory workers. Hard-working, salt-of-the-earth folks who valued practicality over fantasy. Among them were a group of boys, aged 10 to 17, who were out playing near the local schoolhouse that evening. There was Edward May, a 13-year-old with a curious mind and a love for adventure. His brother Fred May, 12, who was more cautious but equally intrigued. And their friends Tommy Heyer, 10, and Neil Nunley, 14. They were ordinary kids, the kind who spent their days exploring the woods, playing baseball, and dreaming of the future. Also present that evening was Kathleen May, Edward and Fred's mother, a strong-willed woman in her 40s who had seen her share of hardships, but always faced them with determination. And then there was Eugene Lemon, a 17-year-old National Guardsman who was home on leave, a young man with a sense of duty and a level head. These were the people who would soon find themselves at the center of one of the most bizarre and chilling encounters in American history. It all began just after sunset around 7:15 p.m. The boys were playing near the schoolhouse when they noticed a strange light in the sky. It was a bright, reddish-orange object moving slowly and silently across the horizon before disappearing behind a hill. The boys were intrigued, but not overly alarmed. After all, it was the early 1950s, a time when reports of flying saucers and UFOs were becoming increasingly common. But then, something happened that changed everything. As the boys watched, the object seemed to land in a field on the farm of G. Bailey Fisher, just outside of town. They ran to Kathleen May's house, bursting with excitement and curiosity. "Mom, you've got to see this," Edward exclaimed. Kathleen, ever the practical woman, grabbed a flashlight and decided to investigate. She was joined by Eugene Lemon, who happened to be visiting, and the group set off into the gathering darkness. The night was cool and still, the only sounds the crunch of gravel underfoot and the occasional rustle of the leaves in the breeze. The group made their way up a steep hill, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. As they reached the top, they noticed a strange, pungent odor, a metallic, sulfurous smell that made their eyes water and their throats burn. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Suddenly, Eugene Lemon's flashlight caught something in the distance. A pair of glowing red eyes, hovering about 10 feet off the ground. The group froze, their hearts pounding, as they stared in disbelief. The figure began to move toward them. It was tall, at least 10 feet high, with a round, hooded head that seemed to glow with an eerie greenish light. Its body was dark and humanoid, with long, spindly arms that ended in claw-like hands. But the most terrifying feature was its face. A pair of glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness, and a mouth that was shaped like a wide, menacing slit. The creature let out a hissing sound, and the group turned and ran, stumbling down the hill in a blind panic. Kathleen May later described the experience as one of the most terrifying moments of her life. Eugene Lemon, who had been at the front of the group, was so frightened that he fainted and had to be carried back to the house. The group returned to the May household shaken and pale, Kathleen called the local sheriff, who arrived with a deputy to investigate. By then, word of the sighting had spread, and a crowd of curious neighbors had gathered. The sheriff and his deputy, armed with flashlights and shotguns, made their way up the hill to the spot where the creature had been seen. They found nothing but the lingering smell of sulfur and a few disturbed patches of grass. The next day, the story made headlines in the local newspaper, the Braxton Democrat. To truly immerse yourself in the story of the Flatwoods Monster, you must understand the vibe of the times. The early 1950s were a period of great change and uncertainty. The world was still recovering from the devastation of World War II, and the Cold War was heating up. The threat of nuclear war loomed large, and people were both fascinated and terrified by the rapid advancements in technology. It was an era of flying saucers and science fiction, of the day the Earth stood still, and the War of the Worlds. People were looking to the skies, wondering what or who might be out there. In Flatwoods, the sighting sparked a mix of excitement and fear. Some people were thrilled by the idea of extraterrestrial visitors, while others were deeply unsettled. The local newspaper was flooded with letters and phone calls, some from people claiming to have seen the creature themselves, others demanding answers. And soon, reporters from across the country were descending on Flatwoods, West Virginia. The town became a hub of activity, with investigators, UFO enthusiasts, and curious onlookers flocking to the scene. Among them was A. Lee Stewart Jr., the co-owner of the Braxton Democrat, who interviewed the witnesses and published a detailed account of the incident. The story also caught the attention of the U.S. government, which was already investigating reports of UFOs as part of Project Blue Book, the top-secret military program that studied UFOs from 1952 to 1969. The CIA, which had a keen interest in UFO sightings during the Cold War, also took note of the incident. Declassified records from the CIA reveal that the Flatwoods Monster was considered a highly credible case with multiple witnesses and physical evidence, including the strange odor and the disturbed grass. Over the years, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the Flatwoods Monster. Some believe it was an extraterrestrial being, a visitor from another world. Others think it might have been a misidentified animal, such as an owl or a large bird, or even a piece of space debris that had fallen to Earth. The strange odor and the glowing eyes have led some to speculate that the creature was a form of plasma or ball lightning, a rare and poorly understood phenomenon. But for the people of Flatwoods, the explanation was simple. They had encountered something otherworldly, something that defied explanation. The incident left a lasting impression on the town, and to this day, the Flatwoods Monster is a source of both pride and unease. Every year, the town hosts the Flatwoods Monster Festival, a celebration of the strange and the unknown, where locals and visitors alike come together to share stories, enjoy music, and remember that fateful night in 1952. The Flatwoods Monster remains one of the most compelling and chilling UFO encounters in history. Despite numerous investigations and theories, no one has ever been able to definitively explain what the witnesses saw that night. As you sit under the vast Appalachian sky, listening to the rustle of leaves and feeling the cool breeze on your skin, it's easy to imagine what it must have been like to see those glowing red eyes for the first time. To feel the mix of awe and fear. To wonder if you were witnessing something beyond human understanding. For the people of Flatwoods, the creature was a source of wonder and mystery. A reminder that even in the most ordinary of places, the extraordinary can happen. The Flatwoods Monster is a story of curiosity, of the unknown, and of the enduring human desire to explore the mysteries of the universe. Thanks for joining me, Porch Pals. If any of you have your own spooky or unexplained experiences, I'd love to hear it. Shoot me an email and maybe I'll tell your story next.